Hi, I'm Kate with The Productive Teacher. Today I'm going to talk about solving for speed, distance, and time. The first thing we want to do is know our variables. So we use an italicized V to equal speed, an S for distance, and a T for time. Most science textbooks and science teachers are going to use these variables. You can use any variables you want, but you want to be familiar with what other people use. Okay, now let's talk about units. Usually in science, we measure distance in meters, and we measure time in seconds, and speed is meters per second. And we can show how these units make sense by setting up a problem. Let's say that I travel 160 meters in 8 seconds. I find speed by dividing distance by time. So I say 160 meters divided by 8 seconds. Now I can solve for this. I see that 16 and 8 can be divided by each other. So 16 is a 2 and 8 becomes a 1. So now this 1, I don't have to write anymore. I can just say this equals 20 meters. I still have my seconds here per second. So here is my speed units, meters per second. So that's where we get the units of meters per second for speed. When we use the triangle, the speed triangle, we can solve for either distance or time. So I know that my speed is equal to my distance divided by my time. And now this triangle allows me to see any possible problem. I can use it to show speed equals distance divided by time, or I can use it to show distance equals speed times time, or I can use it to show time equals distance divided by speed. So let's do one example. Let's say that I'm traveling at 25 meters per second for 7 seconds. How far will I go? So I'm solving here for S. So here I know that velocity times time is how I find distance. So all I have to do is multiply 25 meters per second times 7 seconds. Notice here that I have an S below the line and an S above the line. Just like with numbers up here, I can cancel these out. And all I'm left with is meters, which is good because we measure distance in meters. Now 25 times 7. Let's see. 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, 150, 175. Oh, yes, 175. All right, so if I travel at 25 meters per second for 7 seconds, I will end up going 175 meters. Let's do one last problem using the triangle. This time I will solve for time. So let's say that I'm going 10 meters per second, and I travel that way for 80 meters. I'm going to solve this by dividing my distance, so that goes on the top, by my speed, that goes on the bottom, 10 meters per second. Okay, now we're going to do some canceling out. Notice that I have an M here below this line and an M above the line. So these can be canceled out. Now this S for seconds is a denominator in the denominator, which actually moves it up into the numerator. And so that's going to stay in the numerator for our answer, which is good because our answer time is measured in seconds. Now I can look at my numbers. I have a 0 above and a 0 below, so I can cancel those out. Now I just have 8 divided by 1, which equals 8, so my answer is 8 seconds. It will take me 8 seconds to travel 80 meters if I am traveling at a rate of 10 meters per second. Hopefully this was helpful for you in learning more about solving for speed, distance, and time.